Hello, 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 and welcome. Happy Sunday. The music I'm playing from Chill Hop is Endless Sunday Afternoon. And of course, that is something everybody thinks would be a wonderful thing. And, it's kind of that with retirement. Kinda, sorta. We were actually busier today than we do during the weekday. Two reasons. It's raining today. It's not nice to be outside. It's one of those really rare days where you can be hot and cold at the same time. You can feel like, oh, I'm too hot, or oh man, I think I need a sweater. It's just weird weather. Technically, it's 67 degrees and cloudy, according to my little report on my computer here. And it was just not a day to be outside. And that is a lazy Sunday afternoon for us, except I took advantage of it and did house cleaning, which I haven't done all week. It was a busy week and long. It felt really, really long. It was only Friday evening when I was trying to stream and I just couldn't get any sound at all. And I hope that everything sounds reasonable today. I got it to the point where I think it seems right. I still don't know why I had to change all these settings when I hadn't changed anything else, right? And supposedly Streamlabs didn't update, so it was a mystery, but I think I kind of got it back, I hope, to a level that is comfortable for everybody to listen to. I know that I'll click off streams if the sound isn't right. I used to do that with podcasts too, and I was always very aware of my sound with the podcasts and have been here too, but haven't had trouble. Haven't any trouble for a long time. But as far as the week goes, I've if I did it, I don't remember. It was like phew, the last thing I remember I'm going to talk about, which was we went to a fiber fair yesterday. It was Kentucky Sheep and Wool, and it was in Lexington, Kentucky. It's a small fiber fair, as fiber fairs go, but it's not no problem with that. I don't have any problem with that. I had the best time though. I drove, but I had four and sometimes five passengers who talked non-stop. One of them was my daughter, and it was so nice. It was just my daughter. My grandson, I love to death. It's I can have a better conversation with my daughter when he's not around, and he wasn't. He chose to go with his dad fishing yesterday, and that is a great story too because he actually caught a fish while we were at the fiber fair. They texted a picture of him showing off his fish, so that's a first. That's a first for him, and pretty neat, pretty neat for a 10-year-old to be doing, having a good time and catching a fish too. But I was having a good time. It was my daughter, two of her friends, and when we actually got to Lexington, we picked up one of her friends' daughter. So, and the really fun part was that one other, one of my daughter's a spinner. One of my daughter's friends is a spinner, but mostly they are knitters and crocheters and other kind of crafts and that sort of thing. So this was their first fiber fair, and I asked one when we took a break halfway, how you doing and everything. They said I'm in color overload. And it's so true. Every booth, rainbows of dyed fiber or dyed yarn, a lot of dyed yarn. And if you just go to booth after booth, it's impossible to make a decision, at least for me. And of course, I'm not buying too much of the dyed fiber, but every once in a while I do. And I saw a number of vendors there that I have purchased from before. Would have been nice, but I was saving my money for something special, and I did get that something special. So I didn't buy too much fiber. Um, I'll just hit a few of the highlights. We're going to talk this way for a little bit before I get to something that I have on the table. The very first tent that we went into had a few vendors. I had a few vendors. Excuse me, I have the hiccups. That's not good. Um, but that was the animal barn, right? And so they had lots of pens for different animals, and they had the curly coated mohair Angora goats. They were adorable. They had other sheep breeds, and I don't remember specifically what they was, to be real honest with you. I kind of bypassed them. I went past the Angora goats and looked at the vendors that were all the way around back, and ended up at the other side of the tent talking to that vendor because their sheep was right there, and it was the rare breed, the California Red. And that's really cool that they were raising them. They were familiar with it. They were doing it specifically for the Shave 'em to Save 'em, which of course the passport thing that I did. I know their farm. I've not been there, thought about going there, but I know their farm because they're in Kentucky, and they had the California Red. So, sometimes when I was looking for the different kinds of fiber, I would Google and see different people who had it. I may even have bought some of their fiber at the time when I was doing the passport. I can't quite honestly say I remember. I have my passport right here. I could look real quick and see who it says I got it from. I haven't had this out for a long time, but it sits here on my desk. Oops. I also have some notes in here. Oh, well, okay. Maybe it's just a rare breed. Maybe it's not in the passport. I think it's not in the passport. I spoke wrong. I did speak wrong. So sorry. But anyway, it's a rare breed. It's not in the passport. And I talked to him quite a bit about it and that sort of thing. But I also stood there and took some pictures of their two ewes and their baby sheep. The sheep are actually red, that reddish brown color. I mean, they were telling me they were kind of surprised. They had one that was white. And I guess it's not a given, right? I don't know what they used for a ram, but anyway, there were 3 that were various shades of the reddish brown and one white one. It's kind of the opposite of the one black sheep in the flock of white sheep, right? So anyway, they were adorable, and I took some pictures, and that's how we started out the fiber fair. It was pretty hot. When you're outside, you got some nice breeze mostly, but inside the barn where the bulk of the booths were, because we have very undependable weather here, and especially in the springtime, it rains a lot. And so that was a more premium place to be. Was pretty warm. It was pretty warm. Saw lots of kids with parents, but their mom probably was shopping, but some of them barely walking, some of them in strollers, some of them tagging along and talking nonstop. And mom kind of like keeping her ear open, right? And, yeah, I still hear him. He's still there. Kind of thing. Saw 2 beautiful helper dogs. I think there's assistant dogs. I'm not sure exactly what they're called. And a third one that was in training. The other two, I think they all were being introduced to the environment and that sort of thing. The people were training them. They were not being assisted by them. And I think part of it was being around the sheep. They brought them over where I saw them, not in the barn so much as the where they shear the sheep. They took them over there. And the one in training was a puppy. So she, to keep it under control, had it in her arms, and she walked up to the sheep. The sheep are in a pen, right? And she walked up to the sheep holding the puppy, and the sheep all go to the other side of the pen, right? There's a dog there. I smell dog. That's a dog, right? We know what dogs do. Dogs chase us. They make us go places. And the lady laughed. We all laughed. We were sitting there watching them, we all laughed. And the lady says, "Look, you did that," to the puppy. So, let's see. What did I could talk about what I bought, but there's a lot of things I didn't buy that I saw that was really, really cool, that the vendors had for sale. One of it was a vendor had pre-made natural dye kits, and they were packaged in nice tins, and it had the dried material. It had an instruction book. There were some that were made with flowers, some that was indigo, some that was but there usually were 3 different dyes in there. Okay, so you'd get 3 different colors out of a kit, and they were running around $40 or something like that. She said it kind of varied depending on, I think, how hard it is to grow. And speaking of growing, there was a vendor across from them had tons and tons of blue fiber and yarn, and it was all indigo, and it was grown in Kentucky. It was indigo that was grown in Kentucky, and I didn't know they could do that, right? I didn't know it would grow in Kentucky. So I was real impressed with that. I didn't buy any of the dyes. I don't have a whole lot of dyeing planned, and I only was looking for a Christmas green acid dye. Didn't find that. The one vendor, Susan's, who comes down from Wisconsin to every show around us here, I thought I'd be able to get it. And also the one Kentucky store, the Woolery, I thought I'd be able to get it. Neither one of them had it. So I'm just going to have to order it online. Not a big deal. So I'm going to put off that dyeing project for a while until I can put together an order where I'm not just buying that, buying some other stuff too. Speaking of the Woolery, they had a nice area set up with chairs. Chairs are always something that I spot because I need to periodically rest. But they were doing demos. There were 3 for Saturday. And they were talking about wheel maintenance, spinning wheel maintenance. I didn't watch any of these. They had them on a board so that you knew what it was going to be. I forget what the other 2 were, but they had 3 little demos, right? Talking about different things. We got there when it opened, and we hit everything. We spent some time at one booth talking to the vendor, and we left about 2 o'clock. I mean, we didn't plan to spend the whole day. We didn't even plan to spend quite that long, right? But nobody was really in a hurry. It just was, we didn't think we'd be there all that long. It was getting very dark and stormy looking by the time we left, and that we did drive through rain coming home. So it was good. It was good that we got everything done, and good that we probably got on the road and got going. One of my favorite booths, and I'm going to sneeze. I feel it coming. I've tried. Oh, I know what it is. It's that fiber behind me. It's the stuff I used that's on that fiber. Yeah, that's what it is. It's gonna make me sneeze. I just put that fiber up there right before I got on. That is a. I did not just buy that. That is a fleece I bought at SAF last fall. SAF is always what, in October or something like that, and it's a Romeldel, which is the precursor sheep for California variegated mutant CVM. So it is a Romeldel fleece, which I have not. I've worked with one other Romeldel. It's a natural color and it's really really nice and long. The CVM tends to be kind of short, and I'm looking forward to working with this one because it's so nice and long, kind of open crimp, and pretty soft. Really pretty soft. I'm washed it up today. That's actually probably 2/3 of it, and I have two other colors. It had multiple colors in the fleece, and I have two more colors: a very light tan and a real dark brown that I pulled off and put in separate bags. So I'm going to wash those separately. That's the bulk of the fleece, though. Okay, my favorite booth was a silk booth, and really it was everything silk. Silk yarn, silk fiber, it just silk embroidery thread. It was really really amazing, and I'm going to be posting a picture of what is unknown to me as far as what it's actually called. I'm going to name it a silk cocoon blanket. And the blanket is used in the sense of not something you throw over you because you're cold. It's a blanket in the sense of a sheep or alpaca, that back part of their fleece that comes off in a nice, and it is usually the best, right? So it is, they get this from India, and the silk cocoons are softened like they do for silk hankies, but instead of doing just the silk hanky, they have a process that makes it really, really big. It was probably, oh, it looked like it was 6 by 6. Now, whatever, I don't know how they're doing it. Sometime maybe I'll try and Google and see if I can find any information on it. It'd be interesting to talk about it some more. But then these were then dyed, just swirls of purple and pinks, or another one that was yellows and greens. They were phenomenal, beautiful, but you didn't buy the whole blanket. When you picked one up, you said, I'll take 1 ounce, 2 ounce of this, and I don't know what the price was per ounce. My daughter actually bought some, but I didn't buy any. So they just like a big bat that you get, a wool bat that you get off of a drum carter. They just take and strip down the side, right? And one lady who actually was a vendor in the next booth, but came over and talked to us while we were in line, while my daughter was in line, and she says, it seems like such a little bit. She says, but you start spreading that silk out, and you know what it's like if you're working with a silk hanky. You can just get more and more and more and more, and I guess you can get a lot of yardage out of an ounce of that. I'm going to talk myself into being sorry I didn't pick up any. Oh man, this is the way it goes. They may be at the next one we go to, which is I think in 2 weeks, but it's not a big loss if I don't get it. It's just everything was so fascinating when you are a spinner and see something that you've never seen before. And Speaking of something that you've never seen before, I've never seen before, at one of the booths in there, my daughter got fiber that they call fiber reactive. And what it's talking about is, are you familiar with the gloves that have the little fingertips so that when you touch your screen, your screen actually works, right? If you touch your phone screen or whatever, but when you have your gloves on, that's called fiber reactive. They have fiber reactive fiber. That doesn't sound right. It's something reactive fiber. I don't know, but you know what I'm saying. You can now spin this stuff that you put on your fingertips, on your gloves or whatever, to make it so that when you touch your phone screen, it'll register the touch. That's what it's all for. And she bought some of that too. I said, well, you're going to have to do that experiment. I'll let you do that experiment. Be interesting to see what and how that works out. I have a list here. What else? What else was on there? One of the things that were not booths that this place seems to have a fair number of, and every year get more and more. This is the way some businesses are handling it, and I'm real cool with this. I'm like, yeah, if I was doing a business, I think this is exactly how I would do it. They have what they call yarn trucks, and they are big trucks. I mean, they're big vans kind of thing, or service vans in particular. So, you know, your repairman comes to work on your refrigerator. Sometimes they're driving big trucks like this. They're like that. And you do have to go up steps into them. And that is one of the reasons I did not go into any of them. The second reason is a lot of them are just yarns, and I don't shop too much for yarns at fiber fairs. But it's a cool idea because your inventory just stays there and travels with you, and you park it and you plug it in for electric and you're good to go, right? I think it's an ideal way to go to lots of fiber fairs, and love the blue sky dream of doing that. Oh, I know something else my daughter did. She did the fun things. um, there was a vendor that had a great big drum carter, and she had a whole wall of all these different colors dyed, you know, just beautiful, beautiful colors, and jewel tones and rainbows and pastels, and it just a whole thing. And you were allowed to pick, I don't know what the weight was, but basically you were paid by the ounce. Any color you wanted along with the sparkle, the Angelina. And then after you did that, they drum carded a bat out of what you picked. And so basically you're paying for a bat, right? And when you pay for the fiber. And I was standing there watching, and I don't know the name of the drum carder. I don't know the brand or anything. But the first pass, it looked really chunky, you know, because a lot of that fiber had locks in it, and I mean, it wasn't really perfectly picked open. And it looked like if they wanted to make a really rustic bat, they would just leave it that way. The drum carder was a little bit different than mine. I don't have anything that brushes against the big drum. It's not big enough while it's drum carding. So when I get a bunch of fiber on there, I take a hand comb that's actually smaller than a regular big hand comb. It's made for that, and hold it against the drum while I rotate it and just travel down it and pack that fiber down, right? That's what makes a good bat. You have to have some kind of way to compact it a little bit. Well, this big one used a brush, and it was a much lighter touch than when I do it with the steel tine things, the teeth from the carder, right, from the card. So basically, then they took it off and gave my daughter the option of, okay, now do you want what this looks like all mixed up to even more? Or do you want it to kind of go on to the drum carder the same way it looks, but get, smoothed out a little more? And that's what she chose. Beautiful bat. She picked some pretty colors as well as sparkle. So that was fun to watch. Oh, let's see. That's pretty much it. The big thing I bought is still a surprise as far as reveal. Okay. Just because, one, it's a tool, and two, I need to get some setup figured out as far as the stream, and three, I actually want to use it for a little bit before. But let me just give you a little tease. I love it. I am super, super, super sold on it. I have dreams of probably never carding again. Oh, see, I kind of gave something away there. Anyway, yeah, I'm real excited about it. And that'll be something that I share in a stream, and I'll make sure also in the Discord when I get it. Not only what it looks like and how it works and all that, but where the source is. So, just not ready to do that just yet. Last, I walked the walk of shame. I had to come home carrying yet another fleece. And yeah, hubby blew his top. He was a little pissed. He was not happy. I couldn't help it. It was a Tunis. It was 5.5 pounds. Really, really pretty multicolor, natural color, not white. Wonderful locks. And it was only $25. I was like, I have to take this home. So that's why I'm washing a bunch of stuff now. I'm going to get this all caught up and stored away, and maybe it'll get out of his mind a little bit. Oh, yeah. He said, why did you do that? I said, because it's crack. It's crack, It's just spinner's crack. Oh, I wonder if they'll mute me for that. Anyway, that was my fun day at the Fiber Fair, and I was exhausted when I got home. I have not had, I've had a setback with my knee, where it actually was medication oriented. A medication that they wanted me to take, a cholesterol med, which is a statin. And after taking it for 6 weeks, I finally started looking on Google and figuring out that the whole body pain I was experiencing was from that, and that older women have a higher chance of having that body pain, because my husband's been on one for a couple of years and has had no trouble. So I was kind of discounting it for a while, and I finally was like every morning getting up saying, oh my gosh, I hurt everywhere. And on Thursday, I had to go to the dentist. I got in the car, got out of the car, and in the process of getting out of the car, I got a cramp around the entire upper part of that right knee. It was the entire muscle system to that right knee above it. And it was an amazing, I mean, I couldn't walk. I had fortunately kept my cane in the car. I hadn't used a cane for a year, but I finally hobbled in to the dentist, and it took about 24 hours. And that means that was all day Friday. And Saturday, I was just being really careful. I wasn't hurting anymore, and I was walking a lot, and I did walk a lot. But it was not the best time to be walking by any means. And I'm glad it's improving. It's improving because I went off the med. I took myself off the med, and going to be talking to the doctor about it when I see him. And he's probably not going to be happy about it, but I don't know. I can't take pain. I don't know anybody that really can. What do I want to do here is what I was going to do Friday night. The backstory to this is online, a local auction house lists all their auction, and you can bid on it online. And then, if you win, you need to go and pick it up. So, actually, I have one more thing. I want to show you what I actually bought at the Fiber Fair. I'll do that as soon as I'm done here. But what? Hello, Chris. How are you? Welcome. So anyway, I won a lot of crafting supplies. That's what they called it, right? Just they had pictures of it, but there was a lot of like, oh man, I don't know what's in that box, kind of thing, mystery box. And I am going to be putting that, basically organizing and putting it away on camera so that I can share all this and have the fun of talking about it and exploring it, and you all have the fun of seeing what's in the mystery box. But first, this is what I bought at the Fiber Fair. There's one, there's the other one. This lovely color thing is cotton. I hear y'all laughing. I hear you all laughing. She bought cotton? Supposedly, this is easy spin cotton. I asked the lady that was selling it, I said, is there a guarantee with that? That it's really easy spin? Because spinning cotton isn't easy. But I am going to, it's, I believe, going to be able to be spun on the little Nano, the electric. She actually demonstrated some of it on a drop spindle, which is a possibility. It's my second choice. I'm going to try the Nano first. So that was one thing I bought. And the other, I was in a blue kick, I guess. This is wool. Merino. This is Merino. Cotton is picked by gins now, as I'm sure if you are a very knowledgeable person are quite aware. And I don't want any more discussion on that, please. So this is Merino, which is wool from a sheep. But the reason I bought it is because of how it's processed. It is called pin drafting. Pin drafting is this really narrow band of fiber. And as you can see, there's a blue and a white, and it's like a striped because it comes out of little jet pins when it's after it's carded and being formed into this prep for spinning. And that's what makes it pin drafted. Okay. Fun to spin. Really, really fun to spin. And I don't see it very often. I bought it from a fiber mill that actually made it. I don't see it very often, and so I was really glad to find that. So that was my two fiber purchases at the Fiber Fair. Okay. Oh, I have a mess. Look at this. This mystery box is a messy box. Where would I want to hear? Right here. There's my camera. There you go. Let's see. Which way do I want to do this? I think maybe I might do it like this. I think that gets most of it. See, lots of buttons. They're vintage. There's old buttons in there. There is yarn, which is actually in embroidery yarn or needlepoint. Give me a sec here. I'm trying to, excuse me, I'm trying to decide. No, that is incorrect. It is all equipment. And actually, where I'm at, they don't raise cotton. So that is not a correct. Okay. Your name embroidered on an accessory to wear or carry says, "This is mine." Alphabets, letter perfect embroidery. This is the first thing that was in there. So I am sure. Yep. We got an alphabet chart. So that's going to go in my books and stuff. That's a nice little cheat sheet for making letters. I like that. And there's also something here. So this is to make a camera strap. And it is worked in a stitch that's basically up and down over, so it's needlepoint. It's basically in one hole, down the other hole. And it came out of Dayton, Ohio. So that's an interesting pattern. I don't use camera, but you know, I can understand the nicety, having the camera strap. This is an old receipt from 1982. Where she bought the camera strap to make one. Huh. How about that? All right, now what I want to do is organize these yarn colors. Oh, kindergarten scissors. Kindergarten scissors. Blunt tip. Those will probably go in the Goodwill. I think those will go in the Goodwill. So what I'm going to do is pull out light colors here. Some of them have labels, little tags. I have needlepoint yarn stashed away, of course. I will just add this to it. I am going to see if I can straighten it out any. This is 3-ply, but generally you're just using 1-ply. Oops, I'm not in the camera, sorry about that. Generally you're just using 1-ply for the projects. Depends on what you're trying to cover. Someday, unfortunately, somebody is going to be getting this kind of stuff from my stash. That's just the way it goes. Let me get my trash can for the too short stuff. Crewel work, that is what the word I was trying to say. It is needlepoint or crewel embroidery. Crewel. That's what this yarn is for. Often it's wool, sometimes acrylic. The pattern for the camera thing didn't actually have a color chart. I have a feeling that part of that is missing, right? They would have had an introduction section that talked about everything. Micro 97, hello, welcome, welcome. What brings you to the crafting stream today? I'm sorting a mess of yarn. Yeah, I know it looks interesting. This is what you get when you go and buy things. Okay, Chris, goodbye. You're leaving. Sorry, I apologize. He was skirting. He was skirting, or she. I shouldn't say, just assume it's a he. But this is a respectful stream. They can go bother somebody else. Anyway, when you go to yard sales or auctions or something like that, you get box lots, mystery box lots. And this one was labeled as a crafting box lot. Okay, I am a crafter. My biggest thing that I do on stream normally is spin yarn out of different fibers. But in this particular case, I thought I would go ahead and work through this mystery box on stream. Okay. Micro? Can we just not use the N word, please? In any form? Oh, you all. All right. So I will add this to what I also have for doing these kind of projects. Now I'm just going to sort through it. But when they close up an estate and go through everybody, the people's goods, you end up with this kind of stuff. And I love it because it's a bargain for me. Get it really cheap. All right. We have lots of different colors here. What I should do ideally is wrap it on a card or something. But I probably won't, a bobbin or something. I probably won't though. Once I get it untangled, I'll just make good skeins out of it. Intentionally I'm doing this first because I like to put it in that tin container. Keeps the yarn from getting eaten by things that like to eat wool yarn, like moths. Yeah, I don't have that color. Not much there. Okay, how can I go from 5 viewers to 1 viewer? Twitch, what'd you do with my viewers? Am I getting any alerts here? Am I still on? Yep, no notifications. Okay. All right. Silly, silly, silly Twitch. Running out of places to separate this. I need to be done with all the different colors here. I'm getting real close to the bottom here. Oh, well, okay, this first pile. Obviously, she had 2 different projects going, right? Because there's a clump of pastel colors and there's this clump of the browns and oranges. Okay. This is a nice rainy day project. I like rainy days. Means I don't have to be doing outside work. Woohoo! That's all. Now, I don't think I'm going to keep the tags that have the little number on it, because when I use this, I am just going to be using it for whatever. I'm not going to be following any kind of chart that would have their number. I should have done my lap one done first. Problem with putting this all together is, and then tying it, is that you're bound to end up finding more. Hopefully I won't. Oh, that goes with that. I don't have any brown like this, do I? Don't know. Okay. Oh, well, that was all connected there. Do it the other way. There we go. Oh, you really can't see what I'm doing. I'm working on my lap here. I'm going to turn it a little more. Nope, that isn't going to show you because it's under the box. But I need the room to stretch out and pull that. You can see them here. Stretch out and pull and line them up, and then I'll tie them in a weaver's knot. Okay. There we go. Boy, I swear those are they are two different colors. Very 70 colors here, aren't they? Really, really 70 colors. You start building up a collection of yarns like this when you buy needle work kits, you know, out of catalogs like Stitchery and Lee Ward's and Mary Maxim. You use up part of it, but you don't use up all of it, so you end up with leftover strands. Two different colors, yes. Okay. It's time for me to do some storytelling or something. When we were driving home from the fiber fair, sorry about that. My daughter was driving and she's like, okay, it's time for the funny stories again. I'm getting sleepy. We were a car full of storytelling people. There were a lot of stories going on. It was fun. A lot of talk about our cats and dogs. I don't have a dog, but it seems like everybody had a cat or a dog. And they all do funny things. The one thing as a spinner I have never tried is using my own hand spun for crewel embroidery. Or if you want to go with finer embroidery floss. I would be comfortable starting first off with needlepoint with my hand spun. Okay. Oop. There we go. Hope this all fits. I don't think I'm going to be keeping a whole lot of this pastel because it looks like there's a lot of single strands in there. I will be keeping the white, which has a lot. I also am noticing that some of it is just standard knitting yarn. Like this right here. I'm going to set those aside and use those for wrapping my hand spun skein of yarn. Since it's not true crewel embroidery yarn. As you can see down at the bottom of the box, there's a lot of the cut rug hooking yarn, which I am just going to store in a plastic bag. This white is different too. It is not, it's 2-ply, but it is thinner 2-ply. Okay. We have her pile of cut ends. Little short stuff. I don't know if I want to keep that or not. Nope, I think there's a needle on that one. Okay, so now I have some yarn skein ties. That's good. All right, let me get these put away real quick. I'll pull that out and say those don't match. There's a light yellow in there, there's a light pink, there's 2 medium pink. Nope, they don't match. Oh, I got a tag in here, I think. Yep. What's everybody doing this Sunday afternoon? Nobody's coming by to chat. I'm getting bored here. I can't do all the talking, folks. Well, I can, but not usually what I intend. Oh, for Pete's sakes, I'm going to have to cut this one. It won't. Come off. All right. This took way more time than I thought it would. you like the metal tins? I love these metal tins. Isn't that pretty? Thank you for the follow, Chancia. Appreciate that. I think it was a hit and run. Not sure why. You could have stayed and said hello. But anyway, I appreciate the follow. It's Chanclas, actually. C-L-A-S. Chanclas. Now I'm going to take this, just a standard plastic bag, and put this rug yarn in here. Don't need to sort it out by colors, and some of it is, I wish I had smaller. Wow. Okay, that's sticky. Christmas red. I love Christmas red. I'll tell you, once they fall out of these packs, it's no going back. Not easily, anyway. You know, I don't think this, yeah, it's sound. That's the other thing, you never know how sound stuff is when you buy it like this. And just to keep track of it, I will put the latch hook in with that yarn. I don't think there's anything else yarn-wise that way. This next big thing is buttons. Buttons, buttons, buttons. I love vintage buttons. In fact, I'm going to save that till last, I think. Let me get this zipped. All right. I wish I had brought, and I didn't think of it, wish I had brought a basket or a bag or something to put this in, and I don't have it. And I don't really have anything I can use, so I'm just gonna start a pile. Now, buttons are last, so set them there, and what we have left is some kinds of work. All right. And I haven't opened these up to know the size or what they are. Look at this one is started. Okay. Peacocks. All right. This is a small table topper. It's round. It's got a thing on the outside here. See the dotted line going right there? You would hem it along there or put a nice piece of lace. They started it with, and I will try to do the peacocks exactly the same way. It is very amateurish embroidery. They are using a rayon thread. There are two right here attached to it. I'll keep that with that. But I like it. I like it a lot. I love cross stitch. It's so mindless. You don't have to think about it, right? I don't like the fact it's on this canvas, this burlap. It's not burlap, but it's a ecru or tan color. It looks pretty good on the camera, but it's way darker than what it looks like on there. Also, I need to hang it up outside. It's got a musty smell. It's not smoky, but it's got a little musty smell. So I am probably going to do that with all these linens. Can't wash it at this point. That would take the pattern off of it. Don't want to do that. So that is a tablecloth, a round tablecloth cross stitch. This one looks like another one right here. This is an even thicker, darker, nah, it's the same color, canvas. Obviously, these two pieces go together. These are also peacocks. And what do we got here? Oh, what do we got here? We have a runner for the table. The two sides here are already hemmed. You would just have to put lace on the end of that. Well, I didn't realize that was a runner. It matches. Those two go together. They're a set. No thread for it. Let's see what I have in my stash. Definitely a keeper. This one worries me. It's quite yellow, and it's painted on. So they were doing a tablecloth cover, and it's got a bad spot right there where you'd have to make another leaf or something to cover that up. I mean, that's a spilled paint. But this is actually fabric paint. It's really pretty. They did a nice job with a relatively nice job with the shading. Got your browns and greens, and I don't know if I would never match the roses or the greens again, but it looks like that's pretty cool. And also, there is a really good possibility I could do the rest of it with embroidery floss instead of painting. It kind of looks like that's what you're supposed to do, because see this here? Kind of looks like a decorative emblem right there. That looks very much like embroidery, and especially this loopy stuff here. That's definitely embroidery. So I was worried about the color. I thought, and it probably is sort of yellowed, but it has yellowed well, all right. And it has, unfortunately, these little spots of paint. I might have to make a rose petal or something with embroidery floss, or I'm not real sure. Looks like you're supposed to embroider around the roses also, you know, with a thread. Never seen a piece of work like this. I have a feeling it may have been a custom design, or, you know, a craftsman who did it. I have a signature down here. Oh, number 3623 Rose. But I don't have any kind of sold through or anything like that. I have no idea what's going to happen either when I wash it, as far as that paint goes. Hi, Kay. I am going through my mystery box that did you just see this? In this mystery box, which is I'm working through here, I bought at an auction. Somebody did, this is a round tablecloth, right? Here's your thing where you cut, it's a table topper, right? And this is painted. It's really pretty roses. And the roses and the leaves are done. It's kind of it's a yellow background, which, I mean, it looks so vintage that I'm not upset with the color at all. It looks real vintage. Sorry, hard to get in the camera. And then it has all these areas like this that I think I'm supposed to be doing with embroidery floss and around the roses and stuff. It's really different. It's really different. Now it is marked. That's what I was just getting ready to do. It says number 3623 rose, which kind of looks like it might be a commercial pattern. I was thinking that maybe it would be, a custom thing. Just for kicks, I'm going to Google that. I doubt very much I'll get anything, but let me do the NO.3623 rose. Oh, I got an address in Vancouver, Washington. Nope, that's not it. Got a lot of addresses. I never even thought about that. Oh, that's pretty funny. All right, that didn't work. So this is kind of like one of the surprises in the box. I'll probably take a photograph of that and put that on Discord because I did not see that coming, right? Where it was painted and that sort of thing. I already had 2 cross stitch canvases. One was a round table topper, the other was the runner, and it's got peacocks on it, and it's cross stitch. It's stamped cross stitch, so you don't have to count. All right, this is a tablecloth, I would assume. Nope, it's a runner, and it's all done. All right. This one I will just give some loving care to, as far as it's got a pink, very faint pink border. It's got very faint pink stitching and yellow leaves, which is kind of unusual. It's very pastel. We have a bluebird on it. That's cool. And of course the same thing on the other end because it's a tabletop runner. And nothing else. Lots to hang over. Needs a little bit of mending on the binding and a good soak in OxyClean and some gentle laundering. But that was in there. So I like that. That's a completed project. Don't have to do anything with that. Now, I have to figure out what is in here. This is black paper and white. Nothing that I can see. This is a needle point canvas that, oh, hi Mass Bandit. Oh, I'm going to be here a little bit. Don't worry about that. I am doing good. I am undoing a mystery box of crafting supplies that I got at an auction. And this is needlepoint canvas where this is, here you go. This was where they got started, and that was as far as it got on it. In fact, it almost looks like it was a test piece, right? That they were doing something else and they were testing to see if the two strands was going to cover it good. So I'll just add that to my stash of scrap needlepoint canvas. I got papers here. Mass Bandit, how have you been? Sunset Designs Jiffy Home, an envelope where you can order more, like frames. Don't need that. This is, or was, the cardboard for the back of the end. I think that might have gone with that. I don't think I'm going to be keeping. Oh, there we go. That is adorable. I will finish that up and pass that either to Goodwill, or if I ever find anybody that it has a, baby. That's so cute. They've got a neat stitch on that right here. It's like a Bargello stitch. It's looks like it has a solid strand going across that way, and then you cross it that way. Can you see that? It's really different. I like it. And you know what? I have the pattern. I can check this right here. It's called Honey Bunny. And it gives you instructions on to make it a pillow, a book cover. They sold Honey Bear, Puppy Dog, and Kitty Cat also. I wonder if this has a date on it. Let me see here. This, yeah, but I have to, 78. I think that's the 78. I'll keep all this together. I'm not going to use the paper they had. It's Scotch Stitch. Oh, it isn't Scotch Stitch? Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, wait a minute. I'm going to look it up here real quick. Oh, a checkbook cover. Well, now. Nothing in it. Yeah, that's interesting. Let's see if I can figure out this stitch here. There's all the stitches. And on this it says number 11. Oh, no, that's the color, I would assume. How do you know the stitch key? Where's the stitch key? 11's heavy white. Yep, it's a diagonal mosaic is what it's called. Diagonal mosaic. Well, I have a diagonal continental there. Here it is. Right there. Diagonal mosaic. Yeah. I'm gonna save these instructions even after if I'm finished with all that, because you learn so much from these kind of things. This is finishing a rug hook, the hook rugs, because there was rug hooking, latch, and yarn, so that is instructions for that. So these go together. And These go in the trash. I'm going to keep that box. That is a nice heavy-duty box. And we are left with the vintage buttons. We've got these was the main reason this box cost me $10. This was the main reason I bid on it. I was floored I got it. I really didn't think I would. They need cleaned up a little bit. I'm sure they need sharpened, but they are, oh my gosh, there's no, I mean, they glide, right? There is no stiffness there. So I was super thrilled to get those for cutting fabric. And we have all these buttons on cards, and I have to decide if I'm going to put the buttons on cards in Ziploc bags. But the first thing I wanted to show, this is a bag that's in there. It feels incredibly old. And it is, to my knowledge, just knitted. And they have this cord running through the top of it. And there are, I'm going to take them out because I want to clean the bag up and keep it for show and something else. There's buttons in here. It is, oh, I don't like that. They're caught on the lining. There is lining that has practically disintegrated. It is disintegrating. It is like rayon. It is just disintegrating. Unfortunately. So it needs relined. Oh, I hate that. All right. Gonna gently cut these. I did get a steal. I loved it. I loved what I found, and I'm crazy for doing it because, you know, I don't need any of this stuff. I have plenty to do. All right, so unfortunately, I'm gonna see if I can take that lining out, wash it up, and reline it. Feels like crochet cotton, but it's knit. But that's the weight it feels like. Never seen anything like that before. That I will admit. All right, I'm going to put buttons that are on cards, except maybe singles. Full cards. I'm not going to try and match, and I'm not going to keep generic. Oh, hearts. Cool. On the card. I love buttons. I have a huge thing of buttons. These are so old. Some of them. Nothing on that card. Oh, those are nice size. I like that. Little teeny tiny ones. Button from a blouse, right? When you get a garment, your extra button. I have a lot of those too. And this one is Bill's white sweater. It's written on there. That's Bill's white sweater. I do that. I have done that too in the past. This one is written on. N's white blouse. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Little horse buttons. Are they sewable? I have to keep this up. Yes. Toy and yeah, cut along dotted line for kitty toy. So your buttons came with a toy for your kid. You know, a little toy cart. Oh, that, I mean, it's terrible shape. Nobody wants to pay a lot of money for that, but it is amazingly adorable to just display as part of the sewing room or something. I don't know. I'm keeping the single buttons out, but I may just break down and put them all in the bag. At least I'm getting the empty cards out. Oh, ex-smoker's creed. All right, this is a belt, I believe. Yes, belt and buckle. I have never worked with that. Something like that. Got another heart button. I saw other heart buttons somewhere. Oh, those are pretty. Of course. Those are cute. There's another heart button. Those would be great on hand knits. What is this? There's no buttons. I don't know what that is. Looks like they were just saving the clip things. Look how little those are. Teeny tiny. Walmart, 51 cents. Those are pretty. I remember one time, one of my buddies, knitting buddies, when we were getting together to knit together, every other Tuesday or something. She once got a box something like this that had a whole bunch of buttons in it. We went through it at that get together. Oh, here's some more. These are teddy bears. Those are adorable. Not as fun as the card the other one was on, but we have a Jingle Bell. Okay. This is a threader. How nice. That one I'll keep. Oh, there we go. This one's in prime shape. Prime shape. Not a bit wrong with it. Except some of the buttons are missing. Oh, baby, pearl buttons. I'll be taking pictures of these and putting them on Discord. And this is really Ocean Earl. Those are buttons. Stewart's Incorporated Louisville. See, that's local too. That's very sellable. All right. Have another pair of scissors. Ooh, that's weird. Has a screw. Okay. Mass Bandit, does this look like something you recognize as a type of scissors? Can you see? Look at the blade. It has this, I wonder if it's a mustache or hair cutting or... Kay, are you there? Any idea? They're a little tight. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is intentional, this little thing here, so that it only goes that far, which means only that much gets cut. You see what I'm saying? That part of the blade is the only thing that gets cut. I think it has to do something with hair cutting, but I'm guessing. I hadn't seen those in there. All right. Yep, this is a needle case. Very rusty needles. Okay. Very fine needles. Old-fashioned needle case. You just looked it up? Buttonhole scissors. Oh, that's brilliant. Create the perfect buttonhole every time with these Mundial buttonhole scissors. Since each blade is notched, your cuts, yes, start several inches from the edge, and the screw through the handle limits but ensure all buttonholes are the same length, made with fine carbon steel. Mass Bandit, thank you. What great Googling. You are awesome. That is awesome. That's something I'm going to really treasure and actually use because I don't have anything like that at all. That is so exciting. All right. Since I am going to just stick these in for dealing with later. I don't think I want to keep them this way. I think I want to take the buttons off. I got plenty of bags, so I'm going to put those in there. I am going to show you this. I've already had this open. Of course, this is a little cute little round box and a complete set of sailor brass buttons. I don't even know how you, there we go. They just pop out like that. I have never seen anything like that either. I'm probably never going to use these. A lot of this stuff is just really cool, collectible, you know. Now let me see here. This was probably her collection of buttons for, I'm going to hold on to the pill bottle, nice little bottle, and put the rest of the loose buttons into a bag with that. When I go through these loose buttons, I'm going to be watching for other oddball things. Buttonhole scissors. Oh man, that is so cool. That is so cool. They're sharp. What's this? And that. Oh, that's a button. It's a square button. Boy, that's deco looking, isn't it? That's cool. This looks like a decorative dangle or something. All right. Gonna get these more precious things out of the way here. And I'm gonna dump this box on the... Boy, my desk is a clutter. Okay, loud noise, everybody. It's also very dirty. Which is the other reason I'm going to brush the dirt into this as I go through here. Here's a piece of that. I wonder if I should take... That's a piece of the card that was so bad shape that had the horse buttons. It's an actual piece of the card. Okay. That one's cracked and not worth keeping. Look! There's a horse! There's a horse button. They actually look like skeletons. Oh, I found a horse button. It's a belt buckle. Boy, if this doesn't make you want to sew, I don't know what would, right? The skirt with 50,000 buttons on it, right? Yeah, I'm sorting here. All right. Look at there. Pen nib. You need a pair of those scissors now. I'm just like floored. It's so perfect, right? It's just like, oh my gosh, whoever thought of that? I have never run into them. Obviously, you can tell by my reaction. All right, we have a lot of belt buckles here. Strap buckles. We have Jingle Bell. I think just one. I'm really fond of this button. It keeps catching my eye. It is rusted though. It might clean up. And here's another one that could actually pair with it. And there's two of those. And then this one. How interesting. Something's going to happen with these. Huh. Like on a bag or something? The one is a brighter gold than everything else. Got a hat pin, bent. Probably throw that away. Okay, here's a way to store your buttons on a paper clip. Not sure if that's important. I don't think it is. Oh my gosh. Will that focus? Come on, focus. It's a scarab. Or I think it's a scarab. Oh, I didn't want you to go in there. I won't find you. Poop. I guess there you are. All right. This looks like a dangle for a zipper pull, right? It's kind of a copper color, actually. And we have a wing nut. We have a hook and eye, actually complete. Little white buttons. More little white buttons. A marble, or it definitely does not go in. It's like for a game or something. You know what I'm saying? It's not a button. There's no hole in it or anything. So, a pin. Jewelry pin. I mean, stick pin, right? It's tiny though. You know, they make those little travel ones, don't they? I bet it's from that. You know, those little travel games. Wow, that's an interesting. It's okay. It's just a white one, but it's got brown on the back from something. I thought it was a brown-white button. You ever notice you don't see many multiple color buttons? There's a sewing machine needle. This is kind of dangerous, actually. Oh, now what is that? Okay, on the back of this, it's sewn into the button. It's loose, so it's intentionally put on there. Looks like as keeper to keep it on the fact. It's pointy. Thumbtack. I have to write down this odd stuff. What's in your button jar? No, can't keep that. Chain on a ring, not usable. Look, I found another scarab. It's missing one of its. It's missing a couple of its little sparkles. Well, I have such limited sewing knowledge because I'm not, I mean, I have sewed, but it's not my prime thing at all. Here's another one, exactly like that. The wood, oh, it's a penny. I got a magnifying glass here. I'll have to look that up. I'll have to look, it's an old one. It's an old penny. That has to be the smallest button I have ever seen. You can't even see it, can you? Little baby clothes, I guess. Washer. Bobby pin. Chain for necklace. Several necklace loops. Ooh, what is that tiny thing? That's a bead. A bead? Yep, a bead. A snap. Another snap. Yeah, baby sweaters for sure. Pin. Bent pin. Well, I think that was a BB. We have another marble. This one is silver. It looks like a pinball marble. That's what it looks like. Only reason I'm getting all these pins out of here is obviously I don't want to be reaching in the bag and end up with the pin in my finger. I'd rather get them out. It's a pretty big button. That'd make great for a single button on a shawl or whatever. Frugal lady. Saved snaps and everything. Boy, those are tiny straight pins. Getting there, almost done. And these are real run-of-the-mill, pretty much run-of-the-mill buttons, except for the few that I pulled out. I don't know what in the world that is. There's another one of those Sharpie things. Another ball. Weighted ball. No hole or nothing. Okay. That's another pearl. What did I guess I put it in here. That's it. Nope, almost. And of course, safety pins. I have used safety pins for keeping buttons together. You looked up button accessories and don't find anything like that thing the button was on. Okay. All right. Now I can put these that I know go up to the sewing room in this little thing. I think it's time for me to end the stream. It's the end of the box. I will have to do photos of this really strange stuff. So, gonna leave that there. There's the needle. The scissors can go upstairs. There we go. Yeah, this is stuff I'm gonna take pictures of. So like, here's another horse and a corner up here of this right there. That is so cool. Mass Bandit, thanks for stopping by and talking. I know my music has stopped. It's all done. I'm not gonna restart it. That was fun. That was a fun stream for me to do. And of course, it's going to be available on the VODs for a while. And I do upload these to YouTube. So, I think this is one I'm going to be keeping on YouTube. I get the choice of making them public and private, and a lot of them I just make private because but I think this one, there's no reason not to make it public. Two nice pairs of scissors for your $10 and other stuff. Yep, you are right. You are absolutely right. There's the completed bunny, um, you know, needs a little work to finish it up. Um, the one table runner that is cross-stitched and completed, you may not have seen these. These were earlier. Um, that fits a round table or fits a runner. It's a table runner. It's already cross-stitched and completed. It just needs some freshening up because it's older and been stored. Yeah, a lot of this was at the beginning before the buttons. There was rug hooking, yarn, crewel, wool. So there was a lot of good stuff. Really fun. Won't find another one for a while, but that's okay. Something else might come along. In the meantime, yeah, I know you were on when I got on. Um, I mean, I saw that you were streaming when I got on, so I knew you probably need a break. I need a break. I'm ready. I'm ready for a break. So I think my plans are Tuesday morning at this point, and it should be crafting. I should be cross stitching. I always say that, and then things come up, and it's not the way I expect, but that's the way it goes. So have a good start of your week, everybody. If you're working, I hope it goes well. Take care and stay healthy, and I will see you in a couple days. Bye.